Celebrity love stories often sound like scripted fairy tales, but sometimes reality is even more cinematic. In a bustling shopping mall in North America, if you like the video, please subscribe and comment. Far away from the flashing cameras of Turkish paparazzi and the ever-watchful eyes of fans, two of Turkey's brightest stars crossed paths unexpectedly. That day, Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu were not international celebrities or television idols. They were simply two strangers drawn to each other's presence. What happened in those brief hours would spark the quiet beginning of a secret romance that fans could only dream about. The shopping mall, a sprawling landmark filled with luxury brands, cozy coffee shops, and endless streams of tourists, became the backdrop of a love story few could have predicted. It wasn't planned, and it wasn't staged for the media. For once, it was simply life, raw, unfiltered. Barış had always been admired for his quiet charisma. Though known in Turkey and abroad for his leading roles in hit dramas, he carried himself with remarkable modesty. On this particular day, he was in North America for a short trip, part leisure and part work-related. Away from Istanbul's buzz, he hoped for anonymity. He wore a casual hoodie, dark jeans, and a baseball cap pulled low to cover his face. To the casual passerby, he looked like just another traveler enjoying a rare day off. Yet, beneath that unassuming exterior, there was a restlessness. Barış had been thinking deeply about his life, his career, the constant attention, and the loneliness that fame often brings. The shopping mall wasn't just a place to buy things, it was a place where he could wander without scripts, cameras, or expectations. He walked slowly, pausing at bookstores, occasionally glancing at clothing stores, trying to soak in the freedom of being just Barış the man, not Barış the actor. Elsewhere in the same mall, Elçin Sangu had her own reasons for being there. She was in North America for a mix of work meetings and a much-needed escape. With her fiery red hair tucked under a stylish beret and her outfit blending chic with casual, an oversized coat over a simple dress, she seemed effortlessly elegant. Elçin had always been known for her striking presence on screen, but in person, she carried an air of quiet sophistication that often made strangers pause without even knowing why. She too was in search of peace. Fame had given her everything: recognition, fans, financial stability, but it had also taken away the luxury of being invisible. The mall that day offered her a strange comfort. Among the diverse crowd of locals and tourists, she could slip into shops unnoticed, feel like just another young woman exploring, laughing to herself as she admired window displays of handbags she didn't need and books she promised herself she'd read. Fate, however, does not wait for the perfect timing, it arrives in moments. As destiny would have it, Barış and Elçin ended up in the same wing of the mall. Near a well-known cafe, Barış was seated at a corner table, nursing a cup of coffee, scrolling idly through his phone. He had no entourage, no assistant, just the comfort of solitude. Elçin, meanwhile, had stepped into the cafe to grab a quick drink before continuing her stroll. When she entered, the door chimed, and in that instant, Barış looked up. His eyes, hidden partially under the brim of his cap, met hers. For a split second, the world seemed to pause. She wasn't just a familiar face from the industry, she was a woman whose presence shifted the air around her. Elçin, catching his gaze, felt a rush of recognition. She knew exactly who he was, but more importantly, she felt something rare, the warmth of being truly seen. She gave a polite smile, as one celebrity might give another, but Barış's eyes lingered a second too long, and that lingering was enough to suggest something more. Elçin placed her order and, to her quiet surprise, the only empty seat was near Barış's table. For a moment, she hesitated. Should she sit? Would it look awkward? But the pull was undeniable. She sat down, placing her coffee on the table and pulling out her phone as though she were distracted. Barış glanced at her, and finally, breaking the silence, he said softly, "You've managed to make this cafe look even brighter." His voice was casual, but there was a nervous undertone, as if he wasn't sure how she would react. Elsin let out a soft laugh. "And here I thought I could escape recognition in North America. But I guess you proved me wrong." That broke the ice. They began to talk, first about trivial things like travel schedules, then about the freedom of being away from Istanbul's relentless attention. Both were surprised at how easy it was to talk, how natural the flow felt. Minutes turned into an hour, and their laughter blended with the hum of the cafe. To anyone watching, they looked like two ordinary friends, perhaps colleagues catching up. But beneath the surface, something unspoken was beginning to form. As the conversation deepened, so did their awareness of the risks. Both knew the headlines that would explode if a single fan or journalist caught them together. Barış and Elçin spotted in North America, romance rumors reignite. It was inevitable. But neither wanted the magic of this meeting to vanish into nothing. So, as they prepared to leave, Barış leaned in slightly and said in a low voice, "We shouldn't let this moment just end here." His tone was steady, but his eyes carried a sincerity that made Elçin pause. She nodded, understanding perfectly. Yet, they couldn't just hand each other numbers openly. Too risky. Too visible. Instead, Barış grabbed a napkin, scribbled a quick note, and slid it across the table as though it were nothing more than a doodle. The note read simply, "Life gives second chances in strange places. Call me." Below it was his number. Elçin smiled, folded the napkin neatly, and tucked it into her coat pocket. She didn't say anything, her silence was an answer in itself. But before leaving, she turned to him and whispered, "I'll send you mine later. Secrets are safer that way." And with that, she walked out, her figure blending into the crowd, leaving Barış with a smile he hadn't worn in a long time. Neither of them could have known then what that small exchange would grow into. For now, it was just a spark, a secret phone number hidden in a pocket, a memory of laughter shared over coffee, and a quiet promise that destiny had only just begun to weave their paths together. But as Barış sat in the cafe for a few more minutes, staring at the empty chair across from him, he felt something he hadn't felt in years, hope. And Elçin, as she strolled back into the shopping mall crowd, found herself unconsciously smiling, her fingers brushing against the folded napkin like it was the most precious thing she owned. Elçin had tucked the napkin into her coat pocket, but when she returned to her hotel room that evening, she found herself pulling it out again and again. She stared at the digits scribbled in Barış's neat handwriting, her thumb brushing lightly across the paper. Should she text him? Should she wait? It was midnight when she finally typed out a short, cautious message. "I suppose secrets are safer this way." She pressed send and immediately regretted it, tossing her phone onto the bed as if it had burned her fingers. But within minutes, the screen lit up with a reply. Over the next few days, their phones became lifelines. The conversations began with casual pleasantries, "How was your day?"